G'day guys and gal, I love the Dark Angels, especially as they were during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy. Modern Dark Angels can be pretty cringe at times, however with the return of the Lion, he has whipped them back into shape and they are once again the Giga Chads of the First Legion. However, throughout the last 10,000 years of Dark Angel history, one thing has remained consistent: the Deathwing are awesome. A chosen company of elite warriors who exist to completely destroy the enemies of the Emperor. If the Dark Angels are the Emperor's exterminators, then the Deathwing are the Dark Angels' exterminators. There are very few things that can last more than 30 seconds against a squad of Deathwing Knights. Like, you'd honestly last longer with Margot Robbie than you would against anyone from the Deathwing. Before we get started, the thing about video games is that no matter what, eventually the gamer decides their fate. Bad games will wither, die, and have their servers shut down. Good games last for ages. Just look at Dawn of War 1. So it's a testament to Tacticus that after multiple years, it's still going strong, and they've even agreed to partner with me for this video. Tacticus has evolved a ton since they launched, adding in dozens of new characters across numerous factions, like Khan and the World Eaters, or Mephiston and the Blood Angels. For the next update, Tacticus is releasing the Gene Stealer cults as part of their Halloween event. But what is Tacticus and why is it so good? Tacticus is a skill-based strategy arena style game, where you need to use team compositions, champion synergy, and genuine tactics to win. The game modes include live PvP, guild raid boss fights, survival against waves of Tyranids, multiple campaigns, and more, with another awesome feature being the over 70 different champions you can collect and use across 17 playable factions. Each champion coming with their own special abilities and passives. So to get in on the fun, then click the link below and use my rewards code in game to get a cheeky bonus reward. Cheers to Tacticus for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over the lore of the Deathwing, detailing why they look so distinct from normal Dark Angels, what their purpose is, some of their most awesome characters and moments from the lore. Let's get into it. The Dark Angels like being quite mysterious. Their order has layers of secret societies and clubs, sometimes overlapping with members not even knowing each other's identities. This makes the Dark Angels extremely hard to infiltrate, with the Alpha Legion remarking that out of all the legions, the Dark Angels are one of the hardest, second only to the Space Wolves. One aspect to these segments is the Hexagrammaton, the 6 wings of the Dark Angels, with each wing representing a different specialization and role in the Dark Angel Legion. There was the Fire Wing, who were specialists at spying, sabotage, and assassination. The Storm Wing, that was all about storming enemy positions, using assault squads, boarding shields, and whatever else a man needs to run the gauntlet. The Iron Wing, which made up the tech marines and mech scientists of the Legion. As a bit of a fun fact, the Mechanicum actually hated the Iron Wing due to the Iron Wing having technology that the Mechanicum did not. Nor did the Iron Wing offer to share such technology. Then there was the Dread Wing, who were the destroyers of the Legion, only the complete annihilation of the enemy would satisfy them. They even used dreadnoughts who had lost their sanity. Then there was the Raven Wing, who were hit and run marines, relying on speed and skirmishing to draw the enemy out, weaken their position, or just cause a distraction. So there's not much surprise that the Raven Wing are the ones that are tasked with hunting the fallen Dark Angels. And then finally, the Deathwing, the topic of today's video. Out of all the wings, only the Deathwing and Raven Wing remain. The other wings only being viable when the Dark Angels were at full Legion strength. Now the Dark Angels are proud of being the first Legion and often say that the other Legions use them as a template to create their own style, and that isn't just a boast. The White Scars are similar to the Raven Wing, the Alpha Legion and Raven Guard are similar to the Fire Wing, the World Eaters are similar to the Dread Wing, and so on. The Dark Angels are capable of dealing with any situation, which is why the Emperor trusted them so deeply and relied on them to face the most complicated and powerful of enemies. I'll put it like this: in Fulgrim's Primarch book, he took on a single low-tier human world and made it compliant. It was a bit of an effort, he nearly died, and it unveiled a number of his flaws. In the Lion's Primarch book, he took on an ancient mega-powerful Xeno civilization that was as old as the Necrons and even the Old Ones. The Xeno King was like a living god, yet the Lion still slew him, and his Dark Angels still managed to defeat his insanely powerful Xeno Psyker warriors. Now we've set the scene, let's get into the Deathwing properly. Although they started as a highly specialized wing, known for their line-breaking ability and deep striking, they were excellent for situations like if the enemy overextended, then a Deathwing squad would teleport in and destroy them, swinging the momentum of the battle. The Deathwing swore to never retreat or surrender. If the Deathwing were present on a battlefield, either the battle would end with the enemy defeated, or every single Deathwing Dark Angel would be dead. Even if it was more advantageous for the Dark Angels to retreat and then fight another day, the Deathwing would still remain and fight to the end. This oath is the main reason behind their name as the Deathwing. During the Heresy, their role naturally evolved to be more broad, as the best Dark Angels were recruited into the Deathwing, hence brought a lot more to the table than just "Hadoo, fight to the death, brothers." They became the first company and started acting as the Lion's honor guard as well as his elite warriors. Originally, their armor was black and ornate, with some of them having bone white armor plating in some areas if they ever took a mortal wound that was meant for a battle brother and then survived. Basically, the Deathwing was all about seeking death in battle. Makes sense. They even ended up making some of the other wings, like the Dreadwing or Stormwing, redundant, fulfilling the roles of Linebreaker and Destroyer, contributing to the dissolution of those wings post-heresy. The Deathwing was so highly esteemed that all members of it were allowed to learn pretty much all the secrets of the Dark Angel chapter, such as the existence of the Fallen, the betrayal of Luther, the loss of Caliban, and the fate of the Lion, although that last part isn't super important anymore since the Big Daddy is back. If you're wondering when they became bone white all over, it isn't because all members of the Deathwing have taken mortal wounds meant for their battle brothers, no. Basically, on a Dark Angel recruitment world, there was a major Genestealer infestation, a squad of Deathwing Terminators prepared to face down the Genestealer force and sell their lives in glorious battle. As such, they painted their entire armor bone white, as they pre-predicted that they would all receive mortal wounds, fighting side by side with each other and defending each other to the end. However, amazingly, they actually survived and defeated the Genestealers. To honor such an epic victory, the Deathwing permanently changed their colors to bone white, and all recruits learned that tale. The Dark Angels have a shitload of Terminators in their chapter, more so than almost any other chapter, with the Deathwing being pretty much given all their suits of armor. As such, almost all members of the Deathwing wear Terminator armor into battle. However, not all. Some Deathwing wear standard Legion plate, such as the Lion Guard, as perhaps they want to have better maneuverability on the battlefield or the speed to try keep up with their Liege Lord. After all, Terminators are slow as shit. These non-Terminator Dark Angels are almost always Blade Guard veterans or some kind of non-Terminator specialist. You may have also seen the Deathwing Knights, Terminators wearing custom, even more badass Terminator armor, if that was even possible. What's the deal with these guys though? Well, they are the elite of the elite of the elite. If the Deathwing is the elite first company of the Dark Angels, then the Deathwing Knights are the elite first company of the Deathwing. Their Terminator armor is even more stacked and powerful than a normal suit, featuring inbuilt iron halos which provide a force field around them. They also carry massive storm shields into battle, as well as massive maces, flails, or power swords. Becoming a Deathwing Knight is extremely difficult, and it's said that a shard of the Lion himself exists in each of these knights. They are also regularly accompanied by the Watchers in the Dark, which is a sign of cosmic favor. On my list of people to fuck with, the Deathwing Knights are pretty much on the bottom of it. So who are some of the most badass Deathwing Dark Angels we have seen? Well, their first ever leader was Fulgrim, nicknamed the Deathbringer. He was the first captain of the Dark Angels and Lionel Johnson's closest advisor. He survived things no man should survive, including all 3 Rangdung Xenocides, which were considered the most vicious and costly wars of the entire Great Crusade. He survived a direct fight with Conrad Kurz, and was one of the only 2 Hexagrammaton commanders who survived the journey through the Runestorm. He was a steadfast commander who would often challenge or disagree with the Lion if he believed his liege was wrong. It's unclear what his final fate was, but I do hope we see him in the Scouring. Did you know that Azrael, the Supreme Grandmaster of the Dark Angels, was actually originally part of the Deathwing, and even ascended to become the Grand Master of the Deathwing after a string of impressive victories? When the Dark Angel Chapter Master was killed by a Night Lord's Demon Prince, Azrael recovered his body and chapter banner before banishing his killer, an act that solidified him as the obvious choice to become the next Supreme Grandmaster. Not to mention he was pretty much second in command anyway due to leading the Deathwing. With Azrael as Supreme Grandmaster, a Dark Angel called Belial ascended to now lead the Deathwing. Belial was a hyper-autistic perfectionist. Even the tiniest, most reasonable mistake he would make, he would be extremely hard on himself. Every missed shot was a failure to Belial, and even when he won great victories, all he could think about is how he could have performed better. Belial also loves punching above his weight. In the 2 times he has nearly died, one was from dueling Gazkul, the most powerful orc in the galaxy, and the second time was fighting Angron. Dude has no chill. Overall, a worthy leader of the Deathwing. There really isn't many issues that cannot be sorted out by a squad of Deathwing Knights deep striking in. Your homework is too hard? Deathwing Deep Strike. Your girlfriend is cheating on you? Deathwing Deep Strike. You spend years of your life grinding away at a soulless job that you despise, constantly surrounded by co-workers you hate and a boss that is the living embodiment of condescendment, all the while wondering where it all went wrong and what you could have done differently. You live in a loveless, sexless marriage, with your children using you as an example of what they aspire to avoid. The true horror of all of it is that you are only 40, so there's up to 60 more years of this living nightmare that day by day ticks you closer to taking your own life. Deathwing Deep Strike. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up a pre-painted Major Mini. That's right, we have new slots open and you can get your very own Major Mini painted in whatever scheme you'd like for extremely low prices. These slots are limited and sell out fast. Link will be below. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.